The Iron Root Staff is one of the least used weapons in the game. It has the ability to link two targets, and depending on who is linked, it has different effects. For example, when you link two enemies, 50% of the damage that one enemy takes gets transferred to the other one as true damage. And I have come up with a very creative way to abuse this to bait and kill unsuspecting targets. So here's the setup. We have 3 core roles and 1 extra, which we'll get into in the next section. First is me, the Iron Root bait. I'm going to be hard flagged in the red zone with an Iron Root staff, Fiend Cowl, and escape gear. Second is the Sandbag. This is going to be a friend who is not in the same guild or alliance as me, who is also hard flagged and in a different party. Their build is focused on pure HP gain and minimal defense, with the key items being Gigantify Potions and Guardian Boots. They will appear as an enemy for me. Lastly, we have our DPS. These are unflagged players with builds like Bolt Casters, Whispering Bows, and One-Handed Daggers that focus on pure, fast, single target DPS to take out the Sandbag as fast as possible. Let's look at how it works. We roam the red zone, getting myself to low HP to bait blue players into dismounting and trying to finish me off. As soon as they dismount, I link the Sandbag to the target blue player and the DPS full send on the Sandbag. Since the Sandbag and the target are both enemies to me, 50% of the damage that the Sandbag takes gets transferred to the blue target, and they die very quickly. To understand why this strategy is so good, you need to look at the target blue player's perspective. When they come across us, they see 2 or more other blues chasing 2 reds, one of which is often low HP. To them, it seems like an ideal, perfect, easy kill. They can just dismount and help the blues finish off the reds and snag some loot. They have no idea that the blues are actually with the reds and are going to be the ones doing the damage to kill them. Which is another really important part of why this is so strong. We are connecting blue players' damage to other blue players. The reds aren't really the ones killing targets, it's our blue DPS players and their damage that ultimately kills the target blues. We're allowing blue players to kill blue players. In fact, this is where the title came from, because sometimes our DPS would even invite other blue players to their party, and then we would kill them through linking the Sandbag to them. Now, just want to quickly interject here. This was one of those things where I was so absorbed in can we do it and not that should we do it, so yeah, I kind of feel bad about partying up with people just to kill them. Sorry about that. Anyways, this whole linking blue players' damage to other blue players' things means that we can safely use expensive sets and high tier gear to PvP because the risk to our blue DPS players is so small. Which brings us to the next point, that the potential of this strategy is crazy high. Because 50% of the damage gets transferred as true damage, and you can comfortably get some crazy high HP numbers on the Sandbag, you can literally kill anyone. An 8.4 tank with 5k HP is still extremely easy to kill if the setup is clean. The only thing that matters is their total HP, which influences how fast we kill them, but that's only by a matter of milliseconds. And of course, if they have any strong defensives that they might pop if they have cooldowns up. But luckily, since this is such a niche and weird and unexpected thing, nobody knows what is happening to them, so the only people that really get defensives off are the ones that do it out of reflex. Now, while I just went over how incredible this strategy can be, it's far from perfect and has some pretty big downsides. First and foremost, it's simply inconsistent. If even one person messes up their job, the kill doesn't really happen. The link is late, the Sandbag takes too much damage before becoming big, the DPS misses a button, etc. It's not going to happen. But that's all fixable with practice. The more difficult issues are that most defensive spells will mess up the kill. That's why I was running a Fiend Cowl on the Iron Root to try to quickly purge off any defensives like Cleric Robe that may come out. But that doesn't stop everything, including probably the most important one, which is stealth. Any stealth breaks the chain, and once the chain is broken, the target doesn't take damage anymore, so they're not going to die. I was running sticky pots to reveal any invis, but we never really got into a situation to really test whether that prevented the chain from breaking or not if they were on the target before the stealth happened. Also, on the topic of inconsistency, this Soul Link spell is wildly inconsistent and buggy. Sometimes it just simply does not work. Along with the inconsistency, it's a little bit hard to choose targets because it sort of is just whoever walks along and finds you becomes the target. Also, the sandbag dies a lot. The new Mistwalker hood helps the sandbag not die to the DPS, but if there are any other blues around, the sandbag is just gonna die afterward. They basically use all their cooldowns when they become big, so it's not really like they have anything left to escape if another blue comes around. Like this absolute chad of a Camland player here.
Hey, yo.
Oh shit!
Hey, yo! I'm in massive trouble, boys.
I got the loot. I got the loot.
One thing we incorporated the second time trying this was adding a fourth role in a rat. The rat was also hard flagged and hung around sort of near the rest of the group some screens away, scouting good targets but then also swooping in when we engaged someone in case they needed to be finished off. This definitely helped and made things much more consistent. Now, this isn't the only way to abuse the Ironroot's Soul Link ability. I'm sure there are many more little baits and strategies I haven't thought of. One of the ones that I did think of though, and that was originally going to be the plan, was to have everybody faction flagged except for the Ironroot. If the DPS and the sandbag are Carely on faction, they can pretend to all be together but actually still have the sandbag out of party so that they can attack him. It would be so much easier to bait people in, but it just doesn't work. For whatever reason, even though the Ironroot is still hard flagged, making everybody an enemy to them, you cannot link a faction flagged player to a non-faction flagged player. It just eats your cooldown and nothing happens. Another simple change is to change up your numbers and have more or less DPS. More DPS would make it so that you can burst targets faster and also makes it easier to bait, as the more blues you have chasing the reds, the more likely other blues are to dismount. On the other hand, you could have 3 people total and just do 1 DPS. If you remove the chest piece on the sandbag, you'll have a little bit less HP, but you can take much more damage quickly, allowing for 1 DPS to still do enough to kill the target through the 50% reduction. Honestly, you could maybe even do something with 2 people if you do things like put a cultist cowl on the sandbag and have him use a fast attacking weapon, or a graveguard helmet on the sandbag to tank his HP. Honestly, there are probably tons of things that you could do with this, which is sort of why I'm making this video. What ideas do you guys have? And do you think this should be a thing in the game? Personally, I love these super unique mechanics in games that open up a Pandora's box of possibilities. Right now, I don't think it needs a change, but who knows? Maybe one of you will come up with something that makes it completely busted. And if you do, send me the clips.